Glad to have you back. Yes, this is still Rise and Shine coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiaku. And then, of course, we are still here, but this time we'll have to single in on our main issue of discuss, which happens to be the just concluded PDP primaries, and of course, the specifics to, the stake of Governor Udom Emmanuel, who was actually an aspirant in the said primaries. And then, of course, he scored a total of 38 votes during the primaries, leaving him, not being able to clinch on the presidential ticket of the People's Democratic Party. So yes, that is the situation. So we'll talk about his stake going forward and the position of Akwa Ibom State, considering the fact that when everyone was just talking about Southeast for sakes of equity, for sakes of justice, for sakes of equality, and for every Nigerian to feel accepted and received with equal rights in this country, everyone had pointed the Southeast for the presidency to go to. And by virtue of right and political strategy and planning, you saw that Iyochayu emerged as the party's chairman coming from the north. So we understood it was zoned to the north at the time so that the presidential ticket could be zoned to the south. But you see the dynamics and the twists, the turn of events on Saturday was something quite very interesting, and a lot of persons have declared, said a thing or two about it. Truth of the matter is, we had a lot of persons from the south who actually joined the presidential race. Why did they have to join, and what is their stake? What is the stake of the southern southern region, and of course with particular reason to Governor Udom Emmanuel after the primaries, given the fact that it's Alhaji Atiku Abubakar that emerged the winner and by so become the sole candidate of the People's Democratic Party for 2023 elections. Well, a lot of persons have talked about the governor's position, who had been a new entrant into the game, and a lot of persons have actually said that he wasn't going to get to clinch on the ticket, and it was a nearly impossible task to have happened. But however, they've singled it down to the fact that he might be chosen perhaps as a running mate to the vice president. Well, that's just the situation as of now.
But if you ask me, I think, him being new in the game, we have a whole lot of other people, that came in as newbies, seeking for the presidential tickets of the PDP. But let's take it back to Atiku. He's been in the game. He's been in the race for quite some time. Let's not also forget that, he had one time been the vice president of this particular country. So I think that to some extent, he had like an edge for him. But looking at Udom Emmanuel now, I think that he had a whole lot running for him, coming in to aspire to be the president of Nigeria, but really the thing is, we've always talked about the fact that we're tired of these old people. Now, not old in terms of age now, but old in terms of the fact that we've had them before in the system. So we're just tired because they seem not to be able to bring anything to the table. Nigeria is where it is because of some of those people that have been in government before now. So we're looking forward to a situation where we have new people coming to inject some kind of vibrancy, to bring in new policies. And for Udom Emmanuel to even come forward, let's forget about the fact that people are saying, he didn't want to quite get the ticket. Who would want to go into a race without wanting to win?
Well, it will shock you or surprise you to know that quite a number of persons get into different presidential, governorship, House of Assembly, different race because of one thing or the other. Some not specifically to clinch on the ticket or to come up win. Some are already postulating into the governance. After the governance, they could get settled because as true as it is, or as funny as it might sound, yes, there are people like that.
Reconciliation and compensation plans, they call it in English terms. I think the place we can even start from is to say congratulations to Governor Udom Emmanuel.
Yeah.
For venturing into the race, the presidential race, and being I nearly called it the fourth man in the fire. But, he came up with the number 38. He was able to clinch that fire because, like, in the order of people who got their numbers up. He did well to have come up with 38, votes amidst all the other very well-known people who've garnered, a lot of influence in the space. So I think we should even start from saying, okay, for introducing yourself in that space, you have done well to have come back with 38 votes.
Well, sorry to bust your bubble because quite a number of persons might not want to toe that line. And I've heard, if you get online and you read some, write-ups from different persons from different angles, you will know that what is going down out there is not actually what we're talking about here. The position of a lot of persons would say that it was a very poor outing, given the fact that each state, each local government in this country actually sent a delegate to the presidential primaries. And the Akwa Ibom State, having 31 local governments, had 31 delegates at that primaries. And that is the magnitude of votes that Governor Dom Emmanuel actually got. We're in a state where the People's Democratic Party is seen as a religion. You could see what happened during the primaries, the governorship primaries in Akwa Ibom State. People voted en masse for the governor's preferred aspirant because it's a religion. A lot of persons actually do like, to keep hold or keep tabs with the People's Democratic Party. And it's the same delegate, that went with him to Abuja. So yes, those are the same. Tell me, why would they go and vote for another aspirant rather than the governor? So the governor had back to back the old 31 delegates that went safety. Now, how many states do we have in this country? We have about 36 states. When you subtract the Akwa Ibom State, you have 35. And out of the 35 states, if we even had one delegate per state, it would mean the governor would have had about 60, given the fact that to put him in a better light, that he has been accepted, by Nigerians, not just Akwa Ibomites, then we should have seen something better than that. I'm speaking from a point of view where, you see, a lot of persons write about, and to a large extent, they might have some sort of point with that. So yes, it's important that we would have seen how receptive people from other states, people from other cultures actually see us, because it's not just about Governor Dom Emmanuel, it's about Akwa Ibom State. It's about our candidate that was also from the People's Democratic Party, because as it is, we have two aspirants vying for the office of the president under two different political parties. Don't forget that former Governor Godswill Akpabio is also vying for president. But have to watch and see how people would vote for him, and also see how receptive that would be, pari passu, something like that. But yes, staying with this particular situation, a lot of persons would say, yes, it was a new entrance, and yes, it was fair enough. And yes, they've also stressed it to the fact that the governor himself was not actually, really after, grabbing the ticket, but serving as a running mate, which of course he still stands a better chance of being picked as a running mate to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, because as far as he's a northern candidate, a northern, aspirants clinching the candidacy, you would have to, or the party would have to pick someone from the south. As the running mate to Atiku Abubakar. And I'm not sure. I think the first person that would have come to mind would have been Peter Obi, but for the sake that he defected. So yes, the party is left with two options. So it will either be, our governor Dom Emmanuel, or the governor of Rivers State. So yeah, that could be the state, or that could be, what will come to play in the next few days to come.
But let's come back to, the outing of the governor now. From what you have said, are you trying to say that maybe he didn't do his homework well? Because I know that there were a lot of consultations that were done.
Yeah, the governor actually consulted widely.
Yeah. So why did we would say that it's just Akwa Ibom State that voted for him, and then just the pocket few of other people, that came on board?
No, it's not me saying that. Truth of the matter is that is the
picture. That's the picture of what's playing out now. So what do you think would have been the problem?
I believe that consultation.
Is it acceptability, or just because he's new in the game? Would that possibly
consultation is one thing.
Yeah.
And if we put it right, it is said that people should vote their consciences in spite or despite who comes to consult.
Yeah.
So yeah, consultation is one thing. Acceptability, well, you could put it in there, but when you say he widely consulted, like, you know, one of the questions I saw around, how many states of the federation did they actually visit? You know,
That's
you
a
can't
different
you
question.
can't take a visit to about 3-4 states and a few influential people in the country and tell us that you've consulted the entire nation for the seat of the presidency. That's not very viable. So I think consultation is one thing. Yes, he consulted, but then in the end we have to know that we are trying to run a democratic system, and a democratic system says the people are going to vote who they want to vote at the end of the day, in spite what you do. I think that's...
Well, truth of the matter is this, perhaps what a lot of persons would picture as what went wrong was, you know, the whole campaign branding of the governor did not, a lot of persons would believe that it did not sit well with the entirety of Nigerians. So Nigeria is a multi-diverse country with people coming from different religion, Muslim, Islam, Christianity, even African traditional religion.
Sure.
So, and then we are the unfortunate minority in this country of a big ocean. So we just exist as a small, you know, community within the larger Nigerian structure. We are only fortunate enough to be blessed with natural resources, hence the reason we are recognized a bit more at the national. Hence we would have just been, you know, we would have just disappeared into thin air. Then given that, you know, procedure, the campaign branding of the governor had a religious inclination with a certain portion of the Bible, which of course if you take it up north, it will not go well. Not in this time when a lot of persons are very sensitive about when you talk about the Holy Book, when you talk about, you know, when you talk, I mean, we should be talking about policies. We should be talking about, you know, like campaign slogans that can project, you know, the what Nigeria would look like, or what you're going to bring forth, what the people should expect when you come. Something like New Nigeria. You know, someone would think, oh, what was he talking about? You know, if that was the case, perhaps he would have gotten more, you know, more reception from people outside of this, you know, climb, outside our region.
Yeah.
So yes, with that religious undertone, I feel a lot actually got lost in that. And I recall stumbling into a write-up after the screening, the presidential screening of aspirants for the People's Democratic Party.
Okay.
Then I saw that the governor, from what the panel said, had passed. You know, he's energetic, he has the zeal, he has the power, but they also felt that the governor lacked some technical experience to mind such a position like the governor, from what I saw about the report on the screening. So yes, that could also actually influence. You know, the governor did not actually go through, you know, the process of like other persons would be councillors, commissioners, and then still try to, you know, climb the tiers of government and all of that. But so even as that is so, he made a very good entrance, and by now every person in Nigeria should know that there is a governor Dom Emmanuel, who has actually done some good strides, especially in aviation. And then when you see Boom A, you can talk about Governor Dom Emmanuel's performance. So that is what he presented, you know, as his signature to Nigeria. Perhaps if he was given the opportunity, he would have replicated that.
But when you say that, one of the referrals that came off his screening said he lacked the technical know-how for the position. I'm thinking a man who's been the governor of a state for 8 years, and I'm sure has, you know, had 1 million plus people under his jurisdiction. Plus, he's been at the apex of business, in the business world, corporate world for the longest of times. I don't think that such a man should be someone technically incapable.
I've listened to one of the board of trustees, BOT member of the People's Democratic Party, who actually addressed that issue on one of his interview sessions, and he said emphatically that having to be or run a state as a state governor does not actually guarantee that you'll be able to run the federation. There are two different ball games. well, coming from his own perspective.
But
But
I
again,
don't
let
think
me
it's
just
lacking
add-
in all of it. I
Let me
mean,
just add to that. If you're able to, like, administer or rule a state, then you should have some kind of administrative,
Yes.
knowledge to run a nation.
because pretty much it's the system. These other people who are vying for the position, who have not been like governors in other states, where are they drawing
Getting
their
their
technical experience
experience
from? I don't
from.
think that point is like a very valid point
No, no,
from them.
it's what they taught, but truth be told, it's not that it's a 50, it's not 100% as certain test is. It's
Yeah.
just an opinion from those who actually go out the screening. So,
But I think one thing, let me just add this. One thing about leadership, actually, it doesn't mean that somebody has to be like a great leader. I think people that work with you are
Cabinet members.
yes, cabinet members. It's a situation of you putting round pegs in round holes, square pegs in square holes. Okay, and then it makes you a great leader at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, if whatever you're doing comes out right, it comes back to you. The glory is you that takes it. So you don't have to be like a great leader for someone to say, oh, I have to, make this person lead these people. Have that, a little bit of that leadership qualities, but it takes people around you to really make you stand out as a great leader.
So, but if we say that in the leadership of the governor in Akwa Ibom State, will you be able to like say we can analyze his ability to put round holes,
Round pegs and round
pegs rather
you
than
tell
round
us.
holes?
You tell us.
Then I have to ask you people.
Ask.
I don't like. I
But
have to
we
sort of like
like
open
a
there.
guest here.
I'm sure someone can even
No,
answer from
you
the
tell
social
us.
media.
I'm
But like someone needs to answer. Will we say that he's been a governor in the past 8 years?
You have lived in this state for as long as I know. So you tell us.
But
what
let's
you
talk
think
in
about
general. Let's talk in general, and not particularly the
Okay.
governor of Akwa Ibom State
Yeah.
now. In general, I think that it's difficult for you to find leaders that actually put round pegs in round holes, because a lot of things, a lot of considerations. are
Yeah,
made.
there's a lot of sentiment.
So yes, there are a lot of sentiment. There are people that supported you to be there, and then supporting you means that when you're there, you have to give appointments. You have to give what do you call it? Yeah, appointments. So you might not necessarily.
Truth be told, a lot of persons would say that in as much as leadership is all about putting square peg in square holes, which of course is what Governor Don Manu represents, everyone has a niche, which of course our governor has a niche in financing. I mean, is an expert in the banking, was an expert, or he's still perhaps an expert, as then to be corrected, in the banking world. And you could see a lot of persons have made mention from when he ascended office in 2015. That was when Nigeria went into recession. And that was when we were talking about dwindling economy. So of course, the governor brought in expertise to sustain. We could know that quite a number of persons in number of states could not pay salaries at that time. And then they were struggling. And federal government had to send, what was it called? Paris 12 reforms for government, state governors to be able to pay salaries at that time. But the governor was paying salaries back to back as it went due. That is his niche. You cannot beat him to that. And of course, as far as Nigeria is concerned, we're still struggling
Yes.
with economic issues, which of course is a niche that is an expert on and can actually work, like seamlessly without actually cracking. He can fix that seamlessly. That's a niche that no one can take away from the governor. And then you're talking about putting square pegs in square holes. Let me tell you, you will need as a leader to have an idea. It's like our broadcasting world. You recall that in one of those classes that you attended, they used to say things like know a little about everything,
Everything, yeah,
and know
that's
everything about a little.
something.
It's applicable to governance. It's applicable to leadership.
Definitely.
So I cannot supervise you as a leader, as your leader, if I don't know an
Have an
idea
idea.
of what is good or what is the best practice in what
Yeah,
you're
that's
doing.
why I said that you
So
just
it's
have to
about
have
that.
a little bit of administrative expertise, and not you being like a professional before you can lead. So far as you have that little experience about it or little knowledge about it, definitely you can. And then let's come back to the governor now and his campaign, his campaign and everything. You said that he had so much expertise when it comes to, the fixing the economy when it comes to handling finance and all. Did he actually sell that as part of his campaign strategy?
That's another valid point.
Well, you tell me.
That's another valid point. I don't think it's something that came up in his what do I call it? His strategy for the seat of the presidency. And I believe just the way you painted it, if it was painted in that way, Nigeria is in a time where her financial structure also needs to be rescued. So
And
if we have a man who has the head on the neck for the job, I think that would have also been a very strong strategic point for them to sell. But alas, that point is over, and we didn't discover it on time.
Well, at this point,
maybe next time.
We would have to go on a brief time out to look at His Excellency's speech, democracy speech. That's the one he had yesterday, the live broadcast. We'll take a look at that, and when we return, Rise and Shine will continue. Do stay with us.
Elections in Nigeria is characterized by fraud.
It is not pure election because of the way they conduct it.
The elections are here again.
For us in Akwa Ibom State,
It is another opportunity to elect
credible and potential leaders.
But I see some of them are not really credible.
In fact, when you talk about the credibility in Nigerian system, it's absent.
As for the aspirants,
what are your plans to better the lives of citizens and ensure that it is not just another era of political promises?
Some aspirants came up with so childish kind of manifesto, something that you know that they cannot do.
Even if after campaigning and promising heaven and earth, you find out that by the time they come in, they cannot do 50% of what they promised.
Because they are coming to see this. If they don't use this, they will not achieve what they want. So it is the normal thing they must use to convince a man that does not have a proper ideology to vote them.
So it's just a mere slogan. It's just a mere slogan to use and have their right into power.
What do you, the people, think about the elections?
The electoral process has been marred by malpractice and all of that.
That's a bad thing in Nigeria. All election night is about money.
Definitely, no matter what the reforms they are carrying out, there will still be rigging.
it's about the aspirants, the manifesto,
the people's view, an in-depth analysis.
That godfatherism is what has eaten deep into our political system. It has become a cankerworm that has left our political system into a corrupt system.
If it is not godfatherism, somebody like me, I will become the counselor. So because I don't have a godfather, it will not work.
Because people feel that they will come and invest, they need to get something back home. So the major aim is not about the people, it's about their family and themselves.
Godfatherism will not help the politics to grow. It won't help democracy to grow.
Vote buying will even be more this time around because these people, most of them have stolen a lot of money and they will use this money to buy votes.
who gets to represent you in government at all levels.
Well, for me, the new breed aspirants, I would love the new breed aspirants. But for those, there are some of them that will not, I would say, definitely, I wouldn't want them to come back definitely to power.
Join us on Akwa Ibom Decides every Saturday and Sunday by 3 p.m. each day, exclusive to Spectrum Television, as we take on the aspirants set to lead you.
quality healthcare and quality education to our children in line with the realities of the 21st century expectations. It was a contract aimed at engendering a new order to ignite entrepreneurial spirit in our people and show in practical terms that all we need to succeed and thrive is embedded in us, and that a reliance on government from cradle to grave was a self-limiting proposition that must and should be jettisoned. It was a contract to dare and dream, to prove doubters wrong, that even without controlling policies, where the passion is right and creativity shapes the heart and mind of a leader, great and enduring achievements can be made. It was a contract to rewrite the Akwa Ibom story and raise the profile of our state as an emerging industrial hub. It was a contract to restore peace, civility, and tolerance in governance by adopting the right tone and tenor in our daily engagements. It was a contract to unite our people around common ideals, to chart a new course for ourselves, predicated on our shared values, orientation, ethos, ideals, and abiding love. It was a call to Dakada, to the faith of our greatness. Above all, it was a contract that was signed, overseen, and affirmed with ecclesiastical blessing and clarity, since the Almighty God alone is the author and finisher of all our undertakings. 7 years later, to the glory of the one who reigns supreme, I can say boldly and satisfactorily that we have delivered on the terms of the contract. Even our critics would agree, even if they won't come out to say so publicly, that we have fulfilled the terms of the contract. The Akwa Ibom fountain of growth is sprouting heaven's word and is poised to soak us all in growth and prosperity going forward. That is the verdict, the unvarnished truth, and this verdict is sacrosanct. The facts and the evidence bear us out. The first term of the initial contract we signed with you was predicated on 5 critical points of job creation, poverty alleviation, infrastructural consolidation and expansion, wealth creation, and economic and political inclusion. We later expanded the above set of ideals into the 8-point completion agenda, comprising industrialization, infrastructure, aviation development, agriculture, human capacity development, security, small and medium-scale enterprises, and rural and riverine development. All things considered, given the harsh economic tailwind that confronted us when we first came in, given the 2 recessions we experienced, given the 1 year the world stood still due to COVID-19 pandemic, I made bold to say emphatically and unequivocally that across sectors we have done exceedingly well. As I said earlier this year, if we were to score ourselves, I still would give us above 85% by the time we are done next year. That score would have inched up considerably. In infrastructural expansion, we promise to consolidate and expand on the gains of that sector. Today, our achievements in that sector are all there for everyone to see. Let me start from the airport expansion project. I've always said that the soul and character of a state and the people are shaped or gauged right from the port of arrival. To drive up what I mean above, let me quote from what the President of Confederation of Football, CAF, Patrice Motsepe, the South African billionaire, a man who has extensive business concerns in over 40 countries, said on May 19th, when he led other presidents of the African Football Associations on a courtesy call at the ESCO chambers of the Government House on that day. He said, I quote, "Let me commend you for the world-class infrastructure I've seen here. When I arrived at the airport and I was being driven to the city center, I told myself that what I am seeing here compares to what I've seen in the developed world. The roads are world-class, and I want to thank you for your leadership and the peace you have ensured here, which is why we decided to come here," unquote. As one who has seen such developments elsewhere and what it does for the character of a city, I made the promise to expand the road leading to the city center to an headland boulevard. Today, work is seriously ongoing, and we hope to get the road commissioned before I leave office next year. The soul and the heart of our state, right from the airport, have been positively defined. As you enter the city center, you'll soon be welcomed by a 10-lane, fully lit and fully manicured boulevard that will, upon being commissioned, would compare with any such major road in the world, the Donsenga Avenue. This road, a hugely economically viable road, cuts the traffic into the city center and shortens the travel time through the state either from Nwoku in Ibesikbo Sultan or to Maniba Road in the heart of the city. Today, the value of landed property along that road has appreciated considerably. Those who own lands in the area are smiling to the banks as several commercial enterprises have started springing up. Wealth is being created, and that was what we promised our people in our initial 5-point agenda. The Uyi-Koregbene Road has been completed and commissioned. It is one of our most beautiful roads, and it connects our capital city to the raffia city of Ikoregbene and the neighboring states in the east. The increased volume of business has earned the people of that area sustainable living. This again ties into our wealth and poverty reduction agenda. The Uetinang Road, a marvel to behold, is almost 90% complete with a bridge at Egbenokpa, a masterpiece of design fully lit up. Today, goods and services are being transported seamlessly and painlessly along that corridor. The Ikoroku-Ikono flyover, one of the longest in this part of the geopolitical zone, has been completed and commissioned. Etinan Donoyo Road, Eket Etinan Road, as well as urban roads in Oron, Eket and Ikoregbene and other localities have either been completed and commissioned or are currently ongoing. The glittering 21-story Dakada Towers today stands tall as a testament to an emerging commercial city and has helped define our skyline. Several multinational companies have signed leases in their determined efforts to tap into the prosperity whose foundation we are currently laying in Akwa Ibom State. All across the 3 senatorial districts and the 10 federal constituencies, we have built roads. Some have been commissioned, some are ongoing, and today the state can be linked seamlessly through a rich network of commercially viable roads. I cannot mention all the roads we have constructed, but soon all the roads we have constructed, commissioned, or have ongoing work on it would be published in major newspapers, all the social media platforms, and other media channels, so Nigerians will see what we have used the resources available to us to achieve for our people. The perennial flooding along Sikado, which before we came in 2015, made that road impassable whenever it rains, has been addressed. The IBB flood control, a huge project done in collaboration with the World Bank, is ongoing. In the power sector, we promise our people power for all by 2021. As I speak, out of the 2,274 gazetted villages in our state, only 5% remains yet to be hooked to the national grid, making us possibly the only state with such a record. We have invested hugely in Ibom Power Plant, and this is a sector that is very critical to our industrialization efforts. The second layer of our gateway of industrialization and development is the aviation industry. Fellow Akwa Ibomites, whether you agree with us politically or not, you will agree with us that we have done a spectacular job in this sector. Today, Ibom Air, the legacy achievement in this sector, dominates the Nigerian aviation industry. A mere 3 years after it started commercial operations, the establishment of Ibom Air is a testament to creativity, to careful planning, and the belief that where the passion is right, nothing can be impossible to achieve. When we mooted the idea of its establishment, many critics said it couldn't be done, that a subnational cannot achieve what the government at the center couldn't pull off. Today, Ibom Air, with a fleet of 7 aircraft comprising 5 CRJ-900 Bombardier series and 2 brand new Airbuses, A220-300 series, with 10 more brand new Airbuses soon to be added to its fleet, has raised the profile of our state and has made the ease of doing business in our state appealing. It has provided jobs to hundreds of our people. Our youths are being trained in aircraft maintenance and in flying schools to become commercial pilots. Ibom Air represents and has made manifest the biblical assertion that when men are cast down, then thou shalt say there is a lifting up. We are embarking on total aviation development. Our maintain, repair, and overhaul hangar facility is more than 85% complete. Once commissioned, hopefully by October this year, this facility will again create jobs for our people and bring in foreign exchange to our state. Our international terminal building, arguably the smartest and the most intelligent in the nation, is expected to be commissioned before I leave office, with the capacity to process over 1 million passengers a year and fitted with the most current technology available. The Akwa Ibom Airport is poised to make our state an aviation hub in the Gulf of Guinea. This facility has also provided hundreds of jobs to our teeming youths, and once completed, would add hundreds more, thus fulfilling one of the central campaign promises we made, job creation. Our taxiway, the longest in the nation's aviation space, will soon also be commissioned. Fellow Akwa Ibomites, there is no doubt that in 7 years, the story of our growth in the aviation sector is being written in golden lines, and more chapters will be added. We should feel proud of this huge achievement. The third leg of our industrialization agenda was focused on maritime development. Today, the Bomdip Seaport, which was awaiting approval by the Federal Executive Council, has finally been approved, thus situating us on the path for the realization of this great and impactful project. You will recall that upon being sworn in, one of the technical committees I had instituted was that of the realization of the Bomdip Seaport. We thank God that we have finally gotten this process started, and it is my hope the next administration will take this project further and ensure that with a shoreline of over 29 nautical miles, the Bomdip Seaport will move the economy of our state higher, create employment and wealth for our people.
Truth be told, the governor has done greatly in terms of all the aspects that he has mentioned, infrastructure and all of that. So yeah, the governor really had the zeal and passion to do better. Meanwhile, welcome back from that break, and I hope you heard firsthand from the governor. That was the speech delivered by the governor yesterday, 29th of May, 2022. And he took some time out to actually, let Akwa Ibomites in on some of his many achievements, which of course was the inspiration and the drive he needed, to replicate in the larger Nigerian structure. That's, given the platform as the president, which of course, perhaps in the near future, if lucky enough, he might be, put side by side as a running mate to Atiku Abubakar, and that could also serve as a better platform to replicate a lot of, the, achievement he has stated.
Yeah, definitely. And I must really commend him, especially in the aviation sector. He's done great. But let's look at, still talking about the PDP primaries that just finished on Saturday. Of course, we saw Atiku clinching the ticket there for the PDP as the flag bearer. We also saw, I think he had 371 votes. And we also saw Wike clinching 237. And, let's come down to what is being said, what is being discussed right now, some of the trends around the PDP presidential primaries. Of course, one of it was that Tambuwal, who is also a governor as well, betrayed Wike now because they are more like very close friends. He had to step down for Atiku Abubakar. So more like a betrayal, sort of. But again, we have so many intricacies to, politics.
Indeed, that isn't really much of a shocker, because as far as politics is concerned, it's a game of interest. It's where your interest lies. And I understand that there are different types of interest. You have the national interest, you have the regional interest, then you have the state interest, and then you have the personal interest. So at that point for, Tambuwal, it would have been more of a regional interest, which, of course, he would want to step down for, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. It's not that he betrayed Wike, But what would he, perhaps assessing his benefits at the end of the day, he could perhaps have more to benefit stepping down for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. And of course, that's no betrayal. And one thing that we know in politics is that there's no permanent friend.
There's no permanent enemy.
It's just a permanent interest. So
definitely.
issues of betrayal should be far from it.
Okay, so let's also talk about the fact that, you know, looking at the primaries now on a larger perspective, we have the presidential primaries that just held for the PDP. Of course, we're looking forward to the APC oncoming. But let's compare what we have at the presidential level now to what we have at the state level. Now, look at the difference between votes now. 371 for Atiku as against 237 for Wike. So you find out that the
was
margin,
a game changer. A lot of persons still believe that Wike is the man of the match.
Yeah.
The man of
Yeah,
the
a lot of people
because he pulled a lot of stunts and so much went in. You know, it's something you shouldn't want. You can't exhaust it if you want to go that line right now. So yes, he's been seen as you know, the man of the match as far as the just concluded PDP presidential primaries is concerned. But the game changer, you could see the way, you know, Senator Dino Malaye jacked him up on account of that. It practically lifted him up, and like, I mean, you could see the excitement. So you saw that there were lots and lots of meetings going on, you know, behind as to, you know, what should be done. And that actually to a large extent saw to the win of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar.
yeah, definitely. But let's also bring it down to what happens in states now when we talk about state primaries as against the presidential primaries that just finished on Saturday. And you see that, you know, the margin between the first person. Let's also not forget the fact that, yes, like you said, Tambuwal was the game changer. But look at the margin between Wike and Atiku. You find out that it was just, you know, a few numbers as compared to what we have in states where you could have somebody, maybe for example, have like 800 and something, and then the next person that follows is about, you know, 40 something, or even 2 or even 0, and you're wondering what seems to be the problem.
Exactly.
Is it that there's so much interferences from, you know, governors of these states when it has to do with primaries at the state levels?
Yeah, it's just a big case because you see, like, even in Adamawa State, let's even start from like up north. Out of a total of 668 votes, Fintiri had 663, you know, to clinch the flag bearer of the PDP. What happens to all the other aspirants that, you know, filed up for the same position? Was it that their campaign strategies were not strong enough, that one person is going to clinch all of the delegates' votes from the state? I feel like, and then when we keep coming out and speaking about the transparency of these processes, I think somewhere in the clock there's a question mark, because 668 people were cleared to vote from as delegate from wards from all the local governments in the state, and all of them come out to vote for one particular person. If we are having same lines like what we had in the presidency, someone has 337, the next person has like say 200 and something, and the margins are the differentiating lines are like maybe 10, 12, 15. I think it would look fair in the eyes.
Yeah, truth be told, for the lack of time, we'll have to draw the curtains right here on this conversation because, frankly speaking, there's not going to be any People's Democratic Party presidential primaries no more, because the one and only held on Saturday, and a candidate emerged. Of course, I know there's always a reconciliation committee somewhere, and of course that would be, you know, issues emanating from that will be resolved by the party, and of course the Rescue Nigeria mission is topmost priority on every party man's mindset as far as PDP is concerned. And one thing that we know, especially in Nigeria, is that PDP really has, you know, they have the zeal and the singular purpose of taking back power at the federal. So yes, that is in sight, and we wish them best of luck in that. Meanwhile, congratulations to everyone that actually took part, all the aspirants, the 20 plus aspirants that, you know, vie for that particular office, and most especially to our governor, and of course not leaving out the winner, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Best of luck on that, and we wish Nigeria well. But we'll move ahead on this conversation and quickly take, did you know? I just asked a question. I don't know if I was caught on the spot. So, how is there latrine in the toilet Muslim now?
I wouldn't think so.
That's a rhetorical question, practically, because I know if they say toilets from
2005 BC.
Well, latrine must be there.
It's more like an evolution from, the very first type of toilets they used in Delhi, because they said it's in Delhi now. So it's more like an evolution. How did they start? Did they start with pits? Did they start with buckets? Did they start with
nylon?
Nylon?
Really, you too.
So whatever they started with, but I think coming up with a museum on toilets, wow, that's quite interesting. And it's something that a lot of people would want to go there and see for themselves, how it all started in Delhi in terms of conveniences.
Definitely.
Beautiful. I think it's a creative angle. Sustaining things that the next generation can always come back to look at and
perhaps modernize.
Yes. The evolution of the idea, how people keep changing from, okay, this is how we had it, this is how it was flushed in the 2800 BC, now this is how it's flushed. Nowadays you walk into toilets or closets and people just look at the toilet and like, where on earth am I supposed to press the flush button? It happens like every other day. I know, I think in the past weekend I saw a wash basin and we're looking for how to process the water out. So when you press it at the back, it lifts for the water to flush. When you press it down, it locks. And then, some people were just learning it for the first time. We're like surprised. So these things are evolving, and it's nice to think that a community thought of having a museum around that kind of thing. It's a beautiful one.
Indeed, beautiful one there. So we move ahead to the health tips for today. So let's take a look at health tips that will guide you in staying healthy and maintaining fitness. What I knew about posture before now was that you speak and you communicate with posture as one of the many sign languages that we have. But it's interesting to also get to know today that posture can actually, help me to get fit. Well, I think I'll do more of that because when I see people jog out about 5 a.m., it gets me worried.
You know, I think basically we need it, especially for this kind of job.
Yeah.
That, you know, most of the time we're just sedimentary, you know, sitting in one place and all of that. So
Exactly.
yes, so most times you sit up straight, like
And you feel
yes,
uncomfortable.
and you feel uncomfortable, but you have to know how to practice it. So
Yeah.
you sit up straight like this. If not, so at the end of the day, maybe if you're slouching,
Mhm.
you just find out that at some point
You have a neck
begin to
pain.
experience
neck pain,
pains.
yeah, somewhere. So I think sitting right or a good posture is very necessary.
Absolutely.
I think when you say good posture, it also means that the proper furniture that will help in terms of workplace furniture
Yeah,
that
you're
will
so
help you
correct, yeah.
to maintain the proper posture. But then even when we don't have the proper furniture that would help with that, that's why the tip for today is encouraging us to, you know, invest more in stretches and activities
Yeah.
that would help us to strengthen out our posture. But yeah, it's a good one.
Good
Practicing the things we know, I think, will really help.
Indeed, indeed. So well, still moving ahead to the recipe. Well, to some of you who haven't had breakfast yet, please don't get so hungry because I'm gonna dole out some heavenly dishes right about now. So let's look at the recipe for today.
Yummy
Interesting
cup
one,
of
eh?
goodness.
Yes.
Yummy plate
Yeah,
of goodness.
Bowl of goodness.
I want to put Janice on the spot. I know when we were on break, Janice actually asked what is the appropriate time for breakfast.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're trying to banter it out here. While I said 7 a.m., Janice seems to have a separate opinion to that. And what should be a typical breakfast set? Could it be something as yummy as this one or just a cup of coffee?
You know, some people do. I've seen families that do bowls of gari in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do they do this? Like, gari is not basically, if someone is saying is this best, gari is not typically a breakfast, but in most Nigerian families, you know, that's what they serve as breakfast. And for talking about, you know, breakfast time, like you said, 7 o'clock should be like breakfast time, but that's totally different for me. I don't know how to take breakfast very early in the morning, you know. I get like an upset, I feel like throwing up nausea, you know. So my breakfast time should maybe start from like 10.
I feel it's dependent on when you wake up, because once you're sleeping, your body is still, the functions ceases, and you don't burn a lot of calories when you're sleeping.
Okay.
So once you're awake and active, chances are that you will need calories because you're burning, and that would actually lead to you getting hungry and wanting food. So it all depends on your wake up time, and perhaps maybe your activities, like I had it. She could probably fill us with that and how it is.
We should talk about that pepper soup.
I think these things differ from with regards to breakfast times. I also believe that it differs with regards to upbringing. When a family has been raised to have breakfast at 7 a.m., they know that breakfast time is 7 a.m. and all the like I was saying, in my family, we do not do breakfast. So when you're eating your first meal for the days, like after past 12, like noon, because there's like a lot of activities. My mom is bent on having everywhere squeaky clean, and by the time you're done with all of that and you come to think of eating, it's noon time. So I can actually go a whole morning until when it's noon before I think of having breakfast.
Well, God bless your mother. Trust me, she won't have a bad daughter if I were in that family, because as early as possible, somebody's mother would have to get food.
Also, you did breakfast this morning by 6:30.
Oh God, why? You don't have to get out here. But then, it's okay, because...
but I think also
because I know
the body.
You say what?
I think also how everybody's body reacts to food, because like I think our own system is intolerant for early food.
Yes.
Although I don't have a statutory time to eat food, I think that even if I ate at 7 a.m. I'll be fine. I will not have to experience all the nausea and all these things. So I think our bodies respond to things differently.
Definitely.
Truth be told, it's early morning food for me. Once I have that, I can run a whole day till 6 p.m. and not have food again. But that early morning food,
but I must really commend you, because breakfast is very important. It sets the tone for the day, but it's a no-no for me. And let's talk about that pepper soup.
That
was
a
something
in the morning. Wouldn't you like something like that?
Wow, yes, pepper soup and bread.
Pepper soup, what?
Yes,
that's
pepper
more
soup
like
and bread
status.
actually does go.
Really?
Yes, you can
like
serve pepper soup side by side.
Well, I've not tried that before.
Oh, you need to try it, Otobo. It's really beautiful.
Pepper soup and rice, white rice.
That's
heavy.
you thinking of food.
Oh my
That's
God.
thinking of food, not breakfast. But yes, pepper soup and bread.
Don't tempt somebody's mother with that. She might not just overcome that temptation.
Definitely.
But we'll have to leave you with that. Perhaps you have inspiration for the morning. We are about hitting the top of the hour for a show, and we are afraid we have to run. I hope you enjoyed our show just as well as we did. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Otobasitam.
And my name is Janice Kobum, and I would like to say, please do get your privacy, okay? See you again tomorrow.
Thanks for watching. I am Uyai, and I can see you tomorrow.
And bye.
SpectrumTv, broadening your horizon.